What's up, everybody? Chris Holowicki coming at you with a new Drunken Atheist review of none other than Batman v Superman.
Today is a day for truth. The world needs to know what happened and to know what he stands for. That kind of power is very dangerous.
Let me just start off by saying that Batman v Superman has got a lot of problems. I think the best way to tackle those problems is to just start from the beginning of the movie, where we get a Batman origin story. Because we haven't seen that on camera enough, have we, people? Well, we get it again. And in it, we get a little bit of foreshadowing, some of that sneaky little Zack Snyder screenwriting there. When Bruce's dad is like, "Hello, Martha Wayne." Turns to the kid, turns to the audience, gives him a wink. "Her name's Martha. Martha Wayne. My wife's name's Martha." You're gonna want to remember that, because that comes back into play in a huge way later in the film. But we'll be back to that in a sec. And there's this really bizarre sequence, which apparently is a dream, and Bruce is gonna be having a lot of dreams in this movie. Buckle up. There's all these bats flying around him because he falls down into the cave again, and then there's all these bats, and then he starts like levitating like fucking Jesus or something, and I'm just like, holy shit, he's not gonna be able to fly in this, is he? But no, they just say, oh, it was all a big dream. And then we're just like, okay, that was really weird, but I guess let's move along. The next scene directly following that is actually probably one of the cooler scenes in the movie. It says Metropolis, Earth, after being introduced to Superman, and it's the scene at the end of Man of Steel where he's just ripping Metropolis to shreds. And you see it from Bruce Wayne's perspective as he's driving around the city and he's trying to get to his office building in Metropolis. And this scene is great. It's a little silly because there would have been gridlock, but there's a lot of good visuals here, and the action-packed, the way he's like flying around. He's a normal in civilian clothes driving a normal car, but he's still ripping through the streets and trying to get there, and it's all great. But the problem with this scene is that all of that awesome stuff is completely undercut by an awful green screen cutscene that takes place within it. So Bruce Wayne's calling his office building to talk to one of his business partners in his building. So we cut over to the office building, where it's this old man sitting in front of like the picture windows in the office building, and outside it's just the entire city is leveled, everything's falling apart, you see mass chaos, everything's being fucking destroyed. He picks up the phone and Bruce is like, "You gotta evacuate the building." And the old man, he seems surprised. He's like, "Oh, really? Think we should evacuate it?" And outside the window is just, they have like a terraforming machine just smashing things on the ground. You remember the dubstep scene from Man of Steel? And it's just like, I'm surprised that his building's even still standing. Like, what were they still doing in there? So he's like, alright, I guess I'll evacuate the building then. Gets off the phone, he's like, alright folks, I guess Mr. Wayne thinks it'd be safer if we go outside. So then we're cutting back, and Bruce is getting there, and he's getting really close to the building. He ends up ditching his car, and he's running. And then we cut back to the old man, and he's by himself now. I guess he didn't take that advice and try to leave. He's still chilling out by the window. Zod and Superman smash into the building, maybe like 2 or 3 floors below him, and his reaction is just like, oh, these two fucking super beings just battered into the building that I'm sitting in. It's totally like was this somebody's dad? Did they just like say, hey, you could be in the movie? Who was this fucking guy? Apologies if he's some great actor. They just mishandled him, whatever it was. They should have did some more takes. So then you see, this is a really cool callback to Man of Steel. The part where Superman is holding him and his eye lasers are shooting out. You see the outside of the building and how it's just slicing the building in half, and it looks super cool. Actually, if you layer the end of Man of Steel on top of the beginning of Batman v Superman, both scenes match together seamlessly. So, actually mad props to Snyder for pulling that off, because it's genuinely impressive. And a link to this video will be down in the description. Instantly, Bruce is like, no! It's all ruined though, because it cuts back to the old guy who's whipped out a fucking rosary and it starts praying on it, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what a fucking cliche! And that's the second, like, Christ symbolism we've gotten in the first, 8 minutes of the fucking movie. So, yeah, cool scene, sabotaged. A really poorly executed green screen scenario. It's crazy because the rest of it looked great. Everyone fucked it up. So, cut over to the desert where Lois is in a remote location to meet a terrorist to interview for the Daily Planet. Which really doesn't make sense as you get further into the movie, because Lawrence Fishburne's character, who's head of the paper or something, he seems way more concerned with clickbait articles than any real news. So you're kind of like, who put this all together? Who's putting Lois Lane in this crazy dangerous situation for the local newspaper? But whatever, she's out there with a beloved DC Comics character and photographer for the Daily Planet, Jimmy Olsen, who, unknown to her, is carrying a tracer for the CIA, I guess. The CIA got to him, and the terrorists discover this, and they fucking kill him. Yeah, they shoot him right in the fucking face. Jimmy Olsen, kick off the movie. And they pull Lois Lane into the bunker, and they've got a gun to her head. And who shows up to save the day? Fucking Superman. Where was he like 30 seconds ago when Jimmy Olsen got one, boom, right in the dome? Is this like, I can just picture the Superman in this universe, and I'm just like, I'm not fucking Jimmy Olsen. Why would I be here? It was pretty messed up. And Superman then proceeds to fucking kill the terrorist who's holding Lois Lane hostage. He's got a gun to her head. And this is Superman, who was so upset about breaking Zod's neck in last movie. And instead of just doing a quick thing like a oh, took your gun, I'm super fast, he fucking rams into the guy like a train and plows him through 3 fucking walls. It's insane. And, you know, this is going to be a part of a big subplot that takes a lot of the movie, and I think we should just run through this in what I've dubbed the dumbest subplot ever. Basically, Lex Luthor has mercenaries who are in there posing as the terrorists, but then they fucking switch the tables around and they shoot all the terrorists and everyone that's around. Lois Lane doesn't see this because she's in the other room, and they only use bullets that Lex Luthor makes. And they tried to do this in a way to frame Superman. They shoot a bunch of people, and that's how they frame Superman. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. And later, Superman claims, like, well, I didn't kill those people. I didn't kill anyone. It's like, well, you fucking did. You rammed that guy through all those fucking walls. And this means one of 3 things. It's either that in this universe, someone could survive getting hit by a train and they'll just be like knocked out or something. 2, Superman's an idiot and doesn't realizing he's murdering half the people that he touches. Or 3, Zack Snyder doesn't realize that a human body cannot survive something like that. The jury's out. You decide for yourself. So other than his terrible subplot, Lex Luthor was played by Jesse Eisenberg, and he made some interesting choices. He made it publicly known that his portrayal of Lex was actually an imitation of Max Landis.
Hi, I'm Max Landis, and I'm a writer who in the past has been maybe too vocal with his opinions about Superman. Nobody gives a
So
fuck
I saw
about
Man of
Superman.
Steel
You don't
last night.
Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love bringing people together. How are we?
Lex.
Hi, hello, Lex. It is a pleasure. Ow! Wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
And you could really see it. He does a great job of being Max Landis. Almost, actually, definitely to the point where it's distracting and all I could think of is Max Landis. But not so good as a Lex Luthor, unfortunately. So he's got beef with Superman, but unlike Batman, he doesn't really have any motivation. Superman, sure, he destroyed all of Metropolis, but it looks like Lex Luthor is rebuilding everything and probably making $1 billion trillion doing it. So I don't really know why he has a thing against Superman, but he does because movie. And he gets some kryptonite out of the Indian Ocean and that crashed there, and he's talking with the government to get clearance to make kryptonite weapons, which actually seems like a pretty good idea. They justify making kryptonite weapons in the very beginning of the movie when they see how if Superman gets into a fight, it's like 5911s wherever he is. So, which just makes it all the more confusing when the government lady, who I forget her character's name, she says, no, go drink some, you could put a tea bag in a jar of piss, I ain't gonna drink it, I think was the line. So, and she says, no kryptonite weapons, because Superman's a good guy. It's a pretty bad decision. I found myself sympathizing more with Lex there. Until they had him do something crazy evil to like pull you back. You're just like, oh, he's making a lot of sense. Maybe if he blows up an entire room of people, which he does with a wheelchair bomb, and he even there's a callback to the lady's jar of piss line. The scene pretty much breaks down like this: she walks up to the desk, to the podium, and all of a sudden she looks. I think she smells something. She looks. She sees this jar. She looks at Superman. She looks down at the jar. And then she's like, she stands up, is like, is this fucking piss? And boom! The fucking whole room explodes because Lex Luthor sent in a guy with a little scooter that exploded and it got past clearance. Superman didn't smell the jar of piss or the bomb juice, but they never stated that Superman had super scent. As far as I know. I mean, I'm not well read on Superman, as you guys probably know at this point. I'm more of a Marvel than a DC. But all in all, Superman really dropped the ball in that scene. Also, Lex Luthor wipes out beloved childhood character Mercy Graves.
Blew her the fuck up. Now, it's officially a hate crime and a crime against diversity in film because she's been recently Asianed. It's a fucking travesty.
First Jimmy Olsen, now her. It's obviously that Zack Snyder does not give a fuck about any of our childhoods. Let's talk about Batman. And when I say, let's talk about Batman, I mean, let's acknowledge the fact that this isn't exactly the Batman that me and you grew up with. In fact, this Batman is a murderous psychopath that would put Michael Keaton to shame. But then on the other hand, he's pretty fucking cool too. We've never seen a Batman that can move like this on the screen before, and he kicks ass, but he does murder people. Dude uses handguns, machine guns people down. There's a part where he uses the Batmobile to attach to another car and use the car full of people as a wrecking ball to kill some more people. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. There's even a point in that big fight that they show you in the trailer. He disarms a knife off of someone, and he's walking him up against the wall, and he's raising it up, be like, he's gonna drop it. And you're just like, oh my god, Batman, what are you doing?
Sarkeesian, no! Don't kick the Sarkeesian!
And then he fucking stabs him. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Never thought I'd see Batman stab a man with a thug, low-level thug with a fucking knife, but this is Zack Snyder's universe, after all. But I say, the most interesting new thing about this Batman is that he can see the future in his dreams. He predicts aliens that haven't been introduced to that planet yet. He knows about them. He could see the dystopian possible futures. He can meet time-traveling characters that we haven't been introduced to, but then he wakes up making you wonder, did he just talk to the Flash? Or is he dreaming things that would be impossible for him to dream about? And how does he have the power to do that? This kind of doesn't add up. Kind of seems a little tacked on. I think the Wonder Woman aspects of the film were handled horribly. I think they totaled in, she shows up for a total of 7 minutes the entire movie, which she didn't really need to be there. She didn't do a whole lot. It starts off where Batman goes to that Lex Luthor party, and he is trying to like steal data off of his computers, the little gadget, like a portable hard drive that sucks all the stuff out or something made up. And so he goes down and he's doing that. It's actually kind of a cool scene. And then this woman steals it from him, and I didn't recognize her. I didn't realize it was the same actress. I'm like, who's this chick? She stole his data. I thought he worked with Lex Luthor, like she got caught. And she gets away with Batman's data, or Bruce Wayne's data. Batman. And then next time we see her, Bruce is at another party, or maybe it's an art gallery or something, and he goes up to Wonder Woman, and he's like, hey, give me back my shit. He's just like, I was just borrowing it, maybe. I was looking for a photograph, which a photograph on a computer drive, that's a JPEG. You find it, the stolen data, a picture, that doesn't mean that that picture still doesn't exist on like a million other computers. Lex Luthor could have had that on his fucking cell phone, so I really don't understand what this plot was about. But I was looking for a photograph and information. I couldn't find it. And guess what? I already put your drive back in your glove box because I'm Wonder Woman and I can pick car locks because I'm James Bond or something. But anyway, this scene, the second Wonder Woman appearance becomes even more confusing when Batman looks at the data and he actually finds the picture in there, and it's this old-timey picture from like World War I of Wonder Woman, and he just like starts sending her on instant messenger or whatever, and he's like, girl, no wonder you don't know how to use computers. You old as fuck. Who are you? Age, sex, location. And finally, right before the big fight, we see Wonder Woman at Turkish Airlines. And she just like, Wonder Woman flies Turkish Airlines. The plane may not be invisible, but it will do. So then she sees the Doomsday fight on a little screen, and it's like, of course, they always do this. It's ultimate cinema sin, really, is when they show footage from the movie on a monitor that has no business being on that monitor. And she's like, oh, well, guess I'm not catching a plane. Take my pants off, show up at the fight, which is on a remote island. How'd she get there? Beats me. I don't know. Can she fly? They don't tell us. But she shows up at the fight, and it's all been seen before. We saw it in other things. So when she debuts, they really try to like slam it in there, like try to rev up the thing to get the crowd going. So they put a guitar solo. So basically, Batman's like, I'm gonna take out Superman. He has this one line in the movie where if Superman's even like 1% of a chance of our enemy, 1% of the wait, is that Bernie Sanders? What's the line?
We believe there's even a 1% chance
believes that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
I just remember thinking, like, shit, man. Thank God Bruce Wayne isn't in charge of the whole Syrian refugee crisis. Am I right? Topical reference. So he knows Max Landis has the kryptonite. So he goes on a mission to try to steal it off him. And it's this crazy, honestly pretty cool, and completely brutal, out of character car chase thing between him and Lex Luthor's people trying to steal the kryptonite. And right as he's closing in on the fucking guys, who pops up? Motherfucking Superman. And stops him and is just like, the Bat is dead. Stop being the Batman. I don't like you. Because, reasons.
Next time they shine a light in the sky, don't go to it. The Bat is dead. Buried. Consider this mercy.
Funny part about that scene is that it has no fucking consequences, because like pretty much right after he has his run-in with Superman, he's like, fuck you, or whatever. He just goes right over to Lex Luthor's compound and just steals it himself, and he fucking leaves a batarang there. He's like, I'm the best ninja ever, fuck you, I was here. And that actually would have been a lot more of an interesting scene than a lot of the stuff they gave us. I kind of would have wanted to see Batman break into Lex Luthor's place, take out all the fucking guards, smash in there and steal that fucking kryptonite. But he gets it, and it kills all the consequences, because obviously he was trying to get the kryptonite. Superman sort of delayed him. It was sort of an annoyance to Batman, because it wasn't hard for him to get it afterwards either. He did it off camera. It was so uneventful for him. So Lex Luthor is pissed that Batman stole his kryptonite, so he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even gonna try to get it back, or get more. I'm just gonna fucking create Doomsday. And he does this in the dumbest way. Like, it was like something that like an 8-year-old would have written. Tosses Zod's dead body into like apparently like a monster maker machine on Zod's broken down ship, and then he more or less just like takes a piss in it and like cuts his hand actually and bleeds into it, and the computer's like, oh, you will make a super monster if you mix the blood with Zod's body, and he's just like, we cannot do that, and Lex is like, just do it, and it's like, okay, and that's how we get Doomsday. Da 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 da. So while Doomsday is cooking in the microwave, Lex Luthor gets this idea to get Superman's attention, because he thinks that, oh well, maybe I can get Batman to kill Superman. I'll just trick Superman to fight him, because I know Batman's got the kryptonite. That kind of made sense. Making Doomsday didn't really make a lot of sense. Kind of like big liability on your part, making the big monster. So dumb. But so he kidnaps Lois Lane, and and throws her off of his building. And of course, Superman always hears, and he goes and he saves Lois Lane. She's like, "You came back!" And I'm like, "Where the fuck was he? We've been getting distracted. We don't even know no way to gauge how long he's supposedly been gone." But he saves her, and he goes up to Lex Luthor, and he's just like, "I'm gonna break your fucking arms and legs if you don't come with me, you piece of shit." And Lex is like, "Oh, I kidnapped your mother." And he shows her pictures of fucking Martha Kent with a fucking ball gag in her mouth, all bruised up, and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to see her like this. You don't have to do that. But I also, on that, I call bullshit, because now we got Jimmy Olsen, who Superman just let die. He apparently doesn't notice that his mom's getting kidnapped, but you throw Lois Lane off a building, and he's just like, oh man, how am I gonna get my dick wet? It's silly, and if you're gonna make him be able to hear everything ever, he should be able to save his like friends and family, not just Lois Lane. So, on to the fight. Superman has to go fight Batman. I mean, the whole thing is built on a thing of Superman's not able to like just say, "Hey Batman, let's not fight. He kidnapped my fucking mom." they fight, and it's probably one of the coolest parts of the movie is their little fight there. Doesn't last that long, but when it's going good. Not gonna spoil any of that. If you've seen it, you've seen it. It was a fun, really schlocky fight. But the climax of it all just spoils the whole thing. Because Batman beats the shit out of Superman, and he's about to stab him through the chest with this kryptonite fucking spear. And Superman's like, they're gonna kill Martha! And then Batman's like, flashback to that first scene. I told you guys, you gotta pay attention. This is screenwriting 101. It's called foreshadowing. Zack Snyder writing. He's like, why'd you say Martha? My mama's named Martha. Why'd you say Martha? And then Amy Adams shows up out of nowhere. Like 2 minutes ago she was across the lake, but now she's here. And she goes up to Batman and just like, his mommy's name is Martha. And if she dies, Superman's gonna be an orphan. Batman's just like,
I used to be an orphan.
So then basically after that, Batman's like, well, that's a horse of a different color. I didn't know other people had moms. And just like, guys, this is so funny. What are the odds? A small world, right? Your mom, Martha. All right, let's be friends now. And just like, okay, great screenwriting. This, of course, leads into the big scene that we see in the trailers of Batman kicking the shit out of everyone, killing multiples, and saving Martha Kent. And he does this in a way where this is the one time Zack Snyder was like, you know what? Maybe this is too violent. Why don't we undercut the entire saving Martha scene by doing this stupid shoot a guy in the flamethrower?
He's constantly. There's a great shot. Basically, the scene there's a scene taken from the graphic novel where he busts through the wall and he takes the guy's machine gun, and the guy's going, "I'll kill her. I promise. I swear it." And he's like, "I believe you." I took that little vignette from a scene in Dark Knight Returns. At the end of that, he shoots the guy right between the eyes with the machine gun, one shot. And of course, I went to the gas tank, and all of my guys that I work with were like, "Gotta shoot him in the head," because they're all comic people. So I was like, I'm not gonna be that guy who does that.
Zach, shoot him in the fucking head. You've already come this far. Shoot a guy between the fucking eyes. That flamethrower thing was stupid. 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 So we got the big Doomsday fight. It becomes abundantly clear that any attacks on Doomsday he just absorbs and uses and gains energy from them. Even when he's hit by a nuclear bomb, it does not faze him, and he's still okay. So they land the fight on this uninhabited island where only oil tankers live. And they're all fighting him, but instead of banding together and working like a team, they're all just like, go at him with everything you got. Very logical. Because every time they throw him into an oil tanker, he explodes. He literally explodes with energy. And, but it doesn't fade. So Batman's off on the sidelines where Wonder Woman and Superman are like pretty much keeping Doomsday relatively under control, keeping him on the island. But then Superman hears something. Hears water. Here's Amy Adams. He has a flashback to earlier in the film of Lois Lane naked in a bathtub, and then he's like, hey, WW, cover for me for a second. And he goes and has this scene with Lois Lane where he saves her from a swimming pool that she threw the fucking, the kryptonite spear into. And they have this long, overdrawn thing, cutting back to Wonder Woman, who's just kicking she doesn't seem to be fazed by Doomsday. She's lopping off his arms. He'll get in a hit every now and then, but she like laughs it off and she's just hacking away at him, having no problem. But Superman decides, despite the fact that he could just give the kryptonite spear to Wonder Woman and she would have, looks like, no problem stabbing the fuck out of Doomsday, he's like, I'm gonna do it myself. And then I'm gonna get myself fucking killed in the process. And then Death of Superman will be shoved into the last few minutes of this fucking abortion of a film. Good things to say about this movie, though. I mean, Zack Snyder, they should still have him on to do everything visual, but they should not have him write anything ever again. Because it was just horrible. Get real screenwriters. Zack Snyder's good with visuals. He made 300 and Watchmen, and you see what happens when he writes things, you get a fucking sucker punch. Something really silly. And this is what we got in Batman vs Superman. I knew that this was going to be like this, and I wasn't really disappointed. I was expecting it maybe being even worse. But let's get different directors. Keep on Zack Snyder for producing even. No writing though. No fucking writing. And yeah, what else? Oh, best part of the movie I'd say is Batfleck actually. The most hated part of the movie ended up being the least disappointing. He really brought it. I believed his character. Cavill was fine as Superman, just they don't give him enough to do in these. But I'm excited. I'm legitimately excited for seeing Batman solo movie. Apparently, from what I've been hearing, a lot of people are fans of the DC animated movies. There's a lot of material taken out of these. So Zack Snyder, you're good on references, but you had so many references, but you betray some of them. Death of Superman, shouldn't have touched that. You executed it partially visually nicely, but you ruined it. It's like, that should have happened way in the future. You use Death of Superman. It makes Superman look like a bitch. He comes up, he's like, oh, the second fucking superpowered thing that he comes across, and he dies. He killed Zod, sure, after destroying half the world, and then when Doomsday comes, he fucking dies from it. So Superman, he's not... I don't know what we're supposed to feel about this guy. So, Batman vs Superman. Should you see it? Fuck no. Not unless you're like me, where you like have to see it. If I would have known going in that it would have been a bad movie, I still would have went and saw it just to see it. So if you care about this shit, you gotta see this thing. It's a fucking tentpole movie. See it just to fucking player hate on it if you want. Maybe they'll make it better next time, if our voices are heard. But if you care about filmmaking in any way, shape, or form, if you don't care about comic books, you don't care about Batman vs Superman, you want to see a good movie, steer clear of this piece of shit, because it is a train wreck. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, if you will, if you thought any of this was funny or whatever. And I'll see you all next time.